Students often need modifications when they return to school. Initially, I don't recommend students go to school until they're headache-free. If students do cognitive rest or cocoon therapy, they usually become headache-free within 5 days. There are students, especially those who have multiple blows, who take a lot longer to recover, and then those students will need major modifications when they return to school. I usually recommend returning to school part-time. If you have no symptoms, you certainly can stay in school all day, but if you get symptoms, you need to go to the nurse's office and rest. And if you have symptoms, go away and you can go back to another class, but if the symptoms recur, I usually recommend you go home after a second episode of headaches in a second class. I recommend that students have pre-printed notes or notes from classmates. They need to have decreased workload, less homework, papers and projects may need to be postponed, and they should not be allowed to go to gym class. As a matter of fact, they should not be allowed to sit in gym class because many schools feel, well, they can be in gym class, but they just don't do anything. But I found that to be dangerous because there are often loose objects in the gym class which strike those students, and I've had many students have multiple blows to the head as a result of just being in gym class. The area of the biggest controversy is usually involves test taking and getting kids caught up with their work. And I recommend no test taking until the students have completely caught up with all their work. And then I recommend that they initially take no more than one test a day, and that they be allowed to have extra time to take tests. Many students need to also have to take their tests in a quiet place, not in the classroom. Some students may need to have open book tests or tests with notes. Some kids actually need oral testing, but those modifications are usually reserved for the athletes or students who have more severe symptoms. Students who need to go to the nurse's office whenever they have symptoms. I think this is extremely important. The return to play exercise program cannot begin with students until they are completely symptom-free for 24 hours at school, and then they can do the return to play exercise program.